South Carolina's African-American tourism industry has grown into a $2.4 billion sector of the state's economy, and since 2012, the dynamic husband and wife team of Kwadjo and Rashida Jeffers-Campbell have coordinated the South Carolina African-American Tourism Conference through their company JC & Associates and on behalf of their client, the Wando Huger CDC, held in Charleston, South Carolina. 2019 marks the conference's 7th year and will focus on cultivating resources and strategizing for the future growth of the African American sector of the state's tourism industry. In anticipation of this year's event, we're taking a look back at the 2018 event where we spoke with the Honorable Kenneth F. Hodges, who is a former SC State Representative from District 121 and the pastor of the Tabernacle Baptist Church in Beaufort, South Carolina. We also had the opportunity last year to sit down with Kwadjo, who continues to be a driving force behind the event and remains passionate about cultivating the growth of the African American niche of the tourism industry in South Carolina. Representative Hodges, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Very excited about this conference. I think that Brother Campbell should be commended on this 6th African American Tourism Conference. It is something that is badly needed, and you can tell by the excitement from the sessions that's going on now that it's something that people have been waiting for.
Okay. Representative Hodges, you spent some time, considerable time in the South Carolina legislature. Tell me, where are we, or what is the impact that African Americans have on tourism here in South Carolina?
African Americans have a tremendous impact, but it's something that as a state we are not aggressively reaching out to. I own a couple of businesses in Beaufort, and what I have discovered is that people are fascinated by the history and the culture of South Carolina, specifically from the African American perspective. But in many cases, when they arrive, we do not have anything in place for them because it's nothing that we have targeted as a state. And that's why I think that this conference is so important.
Okay. What are some of the topics, or what are some of the things that are initiatives that you know of or that you may be involved with to kind of turn this around?
What we're doing on the local level, by being in Beaufort and Colleton County, there's a lot of interest in the Gullah Geechee community. And so we have been working with some of the local entities who have been sponsoring festivals such as the Gullah Festival, Heritage at Penn Center, and a number of initiatives like that. We've also been instrumental in getting the designation as a Reconstruction era monument. That designation in Beaufort County, that will tap into our experience during the Civil War and thereafter. So these are some of the things that we've been doing. I also have a couple of business that deals with some things from a historical perspective, a gallery, and I've also opened what is called a Gullah Geechee Visitor Center so that we'll be able to point people in the right direction. But one of the things that we've also worked at in our area, when I say I pastor the Tabernacle Baptist Church, Tabernacle Baptist Church is a unique church in Beaufort and in South Carolina as well. It's a church where Robert Smalls is buried at. His grave is there, and a monument to him is in the church graveyard. We have recently got the designation wherein Robert Small's gravesite is a part of the National Park Service Underground Network to Freedom. That's a designation that will be promoted nationally and internationally. So that'll do a lot for the area. But one of the other things that we're working on is a lot of people don't realize that Harriet Tubman came to Beaufort during the Civil War and spent almost 3 years in the Beaufort area. One of the things that I did while I was in the General Assembly was introduce legislation that named the bridge that crossed over the Combahee River, the Harriet Tubman Bridge. We named it in 2008. So we are putting a lot of emphasis on the fact that Harriet Tubman spent time in Beaufort during the Civil War, almost 3 years. The initiative that we launched in 2016 at Tabernacle is to build a monument to Harriet Tubman that places the emphasis on her Combahee River raid, but also her presence in South Carolina during the Civil War. And it is an initiative that we are well on the way with it now. We are funding it from the private sector, so we're in the process of raising funds for it now, and that effort is already underway. One of the world-renowned sculptors, Ed Dwight, who did the African American monument on the Statehouse ground in Columbia, he's designed the monument, and he's working on it now. So we look forward to putting that monument in Beaufort on the Tabernacle Baptist Church campus. So we're excited about so many things that we're doing in the area.
Okay. Representative Hodges, if somebody wanted to find out how they could get involved or donate to the getting this monument erected, how would they go about doing that?
We do have a website. It's the HarrietTubmanMonument.com, and persons can donate online. And we are very much excited about the enthusiasm that people are finding our website and they are donating online. So it's the HarrietTubmanMonument.com. Or if they just contact the Tabernacle Baptist Church in Beaufort, we can give them some more information as well. But once people hear about it and discover that they can be a part of it, then they're really contributing to it. We wanted to reach out to the general public before we even go to the corporate community. We certainly would love for them to be a part as well, but we wanted the average person to also feel a part and ownership in this great monument.
Okay. Representative Hodges, thank you for taking time to sit down with me, and thank you for sharing this wonderful information.
Well, thank you. And again, we certainly want to commend Brother Campbell for this great effort this year. I know he should be proud because the excitement that I see out in the halls and in the classroom sessions should be commended.
Mr. Campbell, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good, my brother.
Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me. I've been trying to get down here to this conference for a while. I know this is your sixth year.
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit, first let's start off, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I am Kwadjo. I am CEO for JC and Associates. We're a economic development planning and political development firm, focusing on low-income areas, underdeveloped communities throughout the state. And so we have offices in Charleston and Greenville, and we work in our community to help it become more self-sustainable.
Okay. I want to do this because the event that you're putting on, that you continuously put on, it's so important. African American Tourism Conference. Talk to me about the numbers. Talk to me about the money.
All right.
What's our impact?
All right, so $2.4 billion to start off. All right, so that's how much money African American visitors to the state impact our economy every year. $2.4 billion. That equates to 26,000 jobs in the state. If we were to grow that by just 5%, that would be another $110 million. And so you're talking about just a little bit of investment and focus in an area and potential boom for underdeveloped communities throughout the state.
Okay. In your opinion, in your expert opinion, how are we as a community tapping into this? Are we doing a good job? Fair, poor? Where are we as a community tapping into this market?
So, the overall industry is $20 billion. Okay. So when you talk about us as business owners, as festival organizers, et cetera, we're very marginal when it comes to ownership in this industry. So that is our goal. Our goal is so that we can have more of an ownership share in the tourism industry and see those dollars circulating into our community. Because when you look at that $2.4 billion, they're being spent in restaurants, they're being spent on tours, they're being spent on accommodations, and we own very few of those. And so what we need to do is develop those type of products so that we can bring those dollars into our community.
Okay. What entities or elected officials are working with you to kind of raise awareness of where we need to be headed or what we need to be doing to make sure we can tap into this income being generated by this industry?
Well, luckily, with the economic impact study that we did with USC, we were able to have a tool that we could go around and educate people for. So since we've done that, one of our champions has been Senator Marlon Kempson, Senator Carl Allen, up in Greenville. And in the House, we've had Representative Wando Huger, we've had Representative Terry Alexander, who was at the conference today. So those guys have been instrumental in helping us get funding for the economic impact study, and we're working now to get funding for our next step, which is product development, developing a branding campaign for African American tourism in the state that's regionalized, so that we could really capitalize and benefit.
Okay. What are some of the hotbeds in the state that we should be looking for? I know Charleston is one, that's where we are today, but what are some of the other regions we need to be looking at?
Well, Myrtle Beach is a rich area, just by the sheer number of visitors that visit that area. However, it's a great potential opportunities to develop products in that area, not just historical products, but entertainment products that could attract visitors' dollars. Another big area is the upstate, and we're working to develop more historical sites, markers, and destination locations so that visitors can have a place to go to.
Okay. What are some of the barriers during your study? What are some of the barriers or some of the things that may be prohibiting African Americans from participating in the industry?
Well, one of the reason why we focused on infrastructure at this conference this year is a lot of our sites are either unmanned or outdated. They need modernization, and that comes with resources. So one of the barriers is the lack of knowledge as it relates to the economic potential of this sector. Two, we have a lot of outdated, underdeveloped products in the state as well. And then the other things, traditional lack of capital and those type of resources, which is why we have a whole section on just what are the different business development products that are out there that are geared towards our community, like the local development corporations, low interest loans, or the South Carolina Community Loan Funds programs, where they provide capital to businesses who've been turned down by traditional banks to establish this business. And they have a very great track record as far as establishing businesses owned by people that look like you and me in the tourism sector. So and they've been great partners.
Okay. If I'm a African American entrepreneur and I'm looking I want to tap into this market, what are some of the things that I can do or places that I may need to consider looking at in order to get into this market?
All right. Well, one thing you might want to do is check out the South Carolina African American Heritage Commission. One of the things that we're not into reinventing the wheel. So when we did the study, one of the biggest focus was product development. And the South Carolina African American Heritage Commission provides technical assistance for businesses, nonprofits who want to get into the tourism sector. And a lot of it is linking them up with different resources. So if you're, say, a business and you want to get into a business, you can go to them and get help with your business plan, maybe get linked up with scores so you can have professional finance for people who retire from the finance industry. Look at your performance, make sure your numbers are right, look at your marketing plan, make sure that is good. So it is a good starting point, the South Carolina African Heritage Commission, to get technical assistance so that you can move forward.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit before I let you go about some of your successes. You've been on this crusade for a while. What has been some of your greatest successes with raising awareness about the tourist industry and our impact on the African American community?
Well, every year we get more and more stakeholders to come to the conference. People who are actually in the industry participating, and then they go out and become drum majors and raise awareness. Two, having the South Carolina Parks and Recreation Tourism become a real partner in what we're doing, and meeting with us throughout the year and thinking about projects and brainstorming projects like the bowling alley in Orangeburg. We're in discussion right now with, what can we do there to make that a destination location where we can educate people about what happened there. And people will come home to see that. People will travel to hear about that. Or Atlantic Beach, up there in Myrtle Beach. What are we going to do with that undeveloped swath of land where we're the owners and we can develop it and promote what that place meant to the blacks in the state. You know, so those are some big accomplishments. Is getting those institutions involved and really committed to seeing those things happen. You know, so other thing is getting the General Assembly to really seriously consider more funding. They've funded the impact study and they're ready to fund the next step. Now that they see that the economic impact is significant, there's interest in growing that. And so all of that came out of this. We would not be where we are if we hadn't started this effort 6 years ago.
Okay. If somebody wanted to reach out to you or get in contact with you to find out how can they get more involved, how would they do that?
They can go to jc-associates.com. Hit me up on there. You can also, if someone wants to get a copy of the economic impact study, they can go on our website also, jc-associates.com, jc-associates.com, and download the case study that we did on African American tourism with USC.
All right. Mr. Campbell, it's been my sincere pleasure. Thank you for taking time to sit down.
Likewise, man. Big fan. Yes, sir.